radio. Don't miss out on what you're passing. You're missing the previews of the movie reviews. I know those other podcasts make you buy a ticket, but come on while Bob and Ed start to kick it. Talk about the actors' stride and directors are hide, and grab some popcorn when you see them driving by. Watching all the credits, making sure that you get it. Acting kinda loco, they're just a couple brothers. Watch a bunch of movies and they talk to each other.
It's Tuesday, January 10th, 2017, and this is Bob and Ed's Movie Podcast.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Ed.
And we've been delayed for a couple weeks.
Been delayed. Yeah, you know, holidays and whatnot. Just haven't had a chance to get the podcast going. So we're back. Got a couple movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
What's the first one we saw?
Oh, the first one we're going to talk about is Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis. It's a Coen Brothers film, which I've always been a big hit and miss type with them.
Definitely a hit and miss. There's a couple of Coen Brothers films that I really liked, a couple of them that I haven't so much liked, and this is just kind of...
This is one of those that I'm like... Actually, what's funny is it was sort of just mingling on. It's a lot of their films just kind of minger on. Where I kind of went, and actually, it's the same comment I actually had on another one of theirs, Hell Caesar, where it's just, Hell Caesar is sort of a day in this dude's life, and it's sort of probably the same thing practically every day. This one, it comes across, especially with the way the ending works. Don't want to give away too much, but it sort of comes across as like, this is just this dude's week.
Yeah.
Like, this is every week.
Yeah, it might have been a slightly more interesting week, but maybe only just. And yeah, that's kind of what I got too. It's like, oh, this is just a week in the life. Now, I understand, there's some people I talk to that they really, 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 really like this film. And their response was, well, it was these kind of weeks which helped form their ideas on how they do their music, what their music's about. Their music's about these types of weeks. So if you don't see what these types of weeks were, you don't truly understand what their music's about. And it's like, oh, well, this is what their week is about. I kind of get that, but
I get it, but it's sort of. To me, the issue is it's not till the ending that you sort of realize, like, oh, okay, this is basically like kind of every week. Maybe more exciting than normal, but this is a week. And until the very end, it was, and that's why you need to stay to the end of the film. It was just like, I don't know. It wasn't until like the last 10 minutes of the film that I'm like, oh, okay, like, this actually like got bumped up maybe 2 spots in my review just by the ending. It pulled a lot of it together, in my opinion.
I see what you're saying. I don't know. I thought the ending just kind of made me go, oh, okay, I get it. Well, but, I mean, it didn't necessarily...
It didn't super wow you, but at the same time, I wasn't exactly giving it a high rating.
I guess that's what's funny. Like I give it a 7 out of 10.
I gave it a 7 out of 10, but like near the end,
it was pretty much the entire time. It was like, it was never really... I was never really uninterested enough that I was going to give it that much of a lower rating, but I was never all that engaged, with maybe the exception of the car ride. The car ride
was very interesting.
That's where I was like, oh wait, this is going to be interesting, and it was an interesting part of the story, but. And then it was over, and then it kind of seemed like it went back to the way it was. I mean, there was a couple things where, I don't know. It's every decision, it's almost like this is what a talented person who continually makes bad decisions continually, like, sabotages themselves, like what their life was like. That's kind of what I got out of it was... This is the reason this person was unsuccessful was, just because of these little decisions that, man, you probably shouldn't have done that. I don't know if that's going to change your life, but you always just do the wrong thing. I don't know, maybe that's what makes him a folk singer, but it wasn't these major decisions. It was always this slight, did this, and it's like, think that's going to come back and haunt you at some point.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like constantly, like whatever they did, it was, isn't that going to...
Shouldn't you maybe go through that?
Yeah, maybe like just stop and think just stop. Think about what you're going to do. Okay, now it's like, does it seem like a good idea? And it just seemed like this character was just someone who just never stopped and thought about what he was going to do. And, it's, and without giving some stuff away. I mean, it was, it's like, I got a session. Should I bring my guitar? It's like, well, just bring your guitar.
Yeah, that's the fun thing.
It was like, it was kind of those funny things of like, okay, if you don't know for certain, then just bring it. And it's, no, this guy is someone who would show up and didn't bring it. I didn't bring my guitar. It's like, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but why didn't you just bring your guitar? It was those kind of things where it's like, man, you just don't get it, do you? I guess that's your character. It's like, you just don't quite get the things that you're supposed to do he lives like moment to moment, and it's like, God, if you just
stop and
think about, okay, is this going to affect me in the future? And it never, he just never makes, there's one decision later on in the film where he's like by himself, kind of, I don't want to give it away, of just like, of wanting to make a decision, and it's like, but he don't make the right decision now. You've gotten this far in your life. Don't just keep on make that wrong decision. Just keep going. don't start thinking about making good decisions now. And it was funny. Of course, he doesn't make it goes with the other decision, the wrong decision. I guess you could say, for him it's the right one, but it was just kind of funny of how that movie was, and I guess it is kind of like, again, the Odyssey and the Iliad kind of story, kind of. And as the Coen Brothers said, they've never read it.
Yeah,
and other movies seem to be like, how can you've never read these stories? When it's like, oh, Brother, where art thou? Like, literally is.
Yeah, you can't get more.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally the story that you've never read. Okay. Maybe you don't realize you've read it. It's funny because I actually enjoyed Oh Brother Where Art Thou a lot more than I enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Yeah, I really liked it. And this one just didn't. It wasn't like it was bad. Music's phenomenal.
That is true. Like, the
I
music's
still
good.
listen to I've been listening to the soundtrack. There's some of the songs are just great. And it's, there was great performances in this, and as usual, Justin Timberlake, it's like
hits it out of the park.
Yeah, it's out of the park. I love things that he's in. It seems like no one wants to give him credit because he's Justin Timberlake, but it's like, I like it. I like when he's in films. He's like an interesting guy. He never plays the character you think he's going to play. And he's a talented musician, and it comes across.
Actually, it was funny. I was reading a friend's comment that they thought Justin Timberlake should have been cast in La La Land.
I could see that.
I was like, ooh.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been, different, but...
It would have been different. But, yeah, it would have... That would definitely be a different take.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
The cast is great.
John Goodman is amazing as usual.
It's funny. It's like... There's just these odd characters that you're like... And that's the thing about Coen Brothers. Like, every film has, odd characters.
Which, and they all had a lot of depth. It's not like they were shallow characters or you weren't necessarily interested in them. It was just the...
Shoot, the most shallow character probably is Johnny Five. And
which one is that?
He's the driver, John Goodman.
Oh, yes. That was...
Garrett Hudlin.
That was bizarre.
Which is funny because he plays Dean Moriarty in On the Road.
Oh.
Which came out around the same time. So I'm
funny.
like, he's basically playing the same part.
Character. Yeah.
I was like, this is just if Dean
I
Moriarty
saw in one of the things they talked about, they added the whole cat storyline because someone had pointed out, it's like, this really isn't about anything. And there is no story. And they're like, okay, well, let's add this cat storyline to at least give some sort of thread throughout the...
Some sort of closure.
Yeah, some sort of... There's like, a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, the beginning
because if you take out the cat storyline, it's like, okay, this is just a series of events. It can almost be a collection of short stories.
That's true. The cat's actually the whole reason he goes to the Gorfien's house for dinner, where he blows up and yells at them.
Yes.
The reason he's there is to bring the cat back.
Yes.
Which wasn't even there.
Wasn't even there. Yeah. Spoilers.
Sorry. Spoilers.
Oh, it's a very unimportant storyline.
The fact that the only storyline that ties the film together
is about a cat.
Is about a cat.
Yeah, it's about a cat, and even then, it's
it was added in.
Yeah. Although there was a nice little wrap up at the end. Are you kidding me? At the very end, there is kind of a funny story.
That was good.
But even then, it's it was even with the cat. It's like, okay, there was another story that went on that we never saw, and it was a whole bunch of stories that we never saw, and maybe that was the point, is that this guy is always, he's never in these great stories. He's always the guy that's skirting along the edge of all these great stories. Yeah, he shows up late, or he leaves early.
Yeah.
He passes through, and is just tangentially associated with these great stories, and he's the in whatever movie you see, his character is actually the 20th character listed. But in this case, here's the story about him, and he's the first character, and you realize, oh, all these other people have these great stories going on, and he's just meandering through it.
Yeah. One that his sister character has probably had more interest in the story than he did.
I mean, even his dad character, the old sailor.
The old sailor.
Yeah, you kind of wonder about what did he do, and yeah, exactly. His sister, because his sister was married to someone, and we never really got.
We never saw her.
Yeah. So
was she still married?
Yeah, is she still married? Who's married to? And it's probably someone important in some other story, and and here's this guy just meandering through.
Even the random character that is it's actually almost the same character, which is the Adam Driver character.
Yeah. Although I kind of got the feeling that was just supposed to illustrate that he's just one of many people that are along the same. They're all the same. They're all the same person.
Yeah.
They're all the person that is brought in to help with something and then never really goes anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know what else to say about this.
Yeah.
It does kind of lead us into, because I know we had talked before, if we go back however many episodes on the podcast, you reviewed Hail Caesar, but I hadn't seen it.
You didn't see
and
it.
I just saw it.
You just saw it.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same problem of, not problem, I don't know, of, like you said, this is a day in the life of this guy. Yeah. And all these things happen, and you're never really... you're in the beginning of some problems, you're at the end of some problems, you're in the middle of some problems, and he solves all these various problems. He's a fixer, I guess you could say, a studio fixer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, but it was that was it. It was just kind of interesting. I think probably because since he was always just fixing these problems, you never got to see the whole problem. That there. It's I only got to see some of this, and and however many various actors went through this film where, okay, you just saw them for 2 scenes and that was it, because they had some sort of problem, and they were in the middle of it, or at the end of it, or or
at the beginning
of it, and they just just casually mention, it's oh, remember this character? Oh yeah, she goes off and marries this character. Oh, okay. What? Well, I guess.
Yeah.
They were all pretty. Again, it's all filled with actors that are really good, and they were interesting. But again, it was just kind of whatever. It didn't.
That's a film where it's even Channing Tatum's character somehow he had a larger part than maybe he should have. But at the same time, I'm like, he's really only there for 2 scenes.
And and even then, those are like, what just happened?
Yeah. Well, one's at least, hey, it's a musical number they're filming. Okay, he's an actor who sings and dances, similar to 50s musicals.
Yes.
Then the second scene is just like, what?
Like, where'd this come from? Where are we going?
Am I in a different film? Like,
yeah, that's it. It was bizarre. It was
it's like him. His character is very odd. Frances McDormand character. She was the movie editor lady.
That was bizarre.
It's like none of that. Like that could have been missing from the entire film. I don't think I would have cared.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, actually, that was the problem. If you cut out any of the characters, I don't know if you really would have noticed. I mean, the George Clooney character was but even then, that was like, I kind of thought that was going to be more about that character and about, because like, oh, someone kidnapped this movie star. It's like, oh, that's what the movie's going to be about. It's like, oh, I guess it's not about that. And even to some extent, the main character doesn't even solve that problem. Solves all these other problems. The story's
doesn't
about...
he actually even solve that one? Because
he's not the one that solved it.
No.
So it's like, what? Like, you didn't even solve you have one job, and you didn't do that, but you managed to do all these other jobs. I don't know. I thought it was okay. I mean, again, I gave it probably a 7, or like a weak 7. If it was on a scale of 1 to 100, it'd probably get like a 65.
Yeah.
So this is a rounded up 7.
Yeah, I have no clue what I originally gave it, but
it's not a movie. And again, some other people, I think they really liked it. I think a previous guest star in our podcast, Ryan, I think he raved about it, and I don't get it.
In my opinion, it's... Now, mind you, like I said, I think when we first reviewed this, their films tend to be like... You might not get them, you might not like them per se, but they're not bad. And then, like, you'll see them on TV, and you'll sit there and you'll watch, like, 20 minutes of it. Because, really, every scene's sort of independent, so you don't really need to see the scene before and the scene after. And you'll just sit there and you'll watch it, and you're like, oh, wow, that character's funny, or this line's good. Now, does it, all the pieces make, a good film? Maybe not, but you'll enjoy parts of it. Yeah, but even then, like, their films are hit and miss for me.
Yeah. I mean, I could see like Inside Llewyn Davis going back and watching that and maybe revising the review, going in and watching it and like, okay, I kind of get what it felt like there's more texture to like the movie and the characters and what's going on that maybe you're not picking up. Okay, I get that. I just can't see watching Hail Caesar again and like,
thing. I can see watching Hail Caesar again if it's on TV and just be like, oh, cool. Is this before or after Channing Tatum does the song and dance number? Because that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that was pretty good at song and dance number.
And it was
funny, too. There was like a lot of like, oh, man.
It's like, I want to see this.
That was the one, that scene was memorable, and Scarlett Johansson's swimming scene I thought was pretty memorable. It was like, yeah, this is classic 1940s, 1950s.
Technicolor Hollywood.
Technicolor Hollywood, all these... Like, for some reason, there's, 100 women swimming in a pool. It's like, this doesn't make any sense, but sure, why not?
Yeah, right.
And that was pretty good, but other than that...
Yeah. And that's the issue. It's like, yeah, you might watch this, 10 years from now, we might go, like, what we were thinking, like... We missed this the first time.
I guess. I mean, I could see that with maybe Inside Llewyn Davis. I'm just not seeing it with Hail Caesar.
I don't know.
I just can't.
Well, that's the issue with like films. It's like nobody liked 2001 when it first came out.
I guess. But I mean, when you go back and look, the previous before Inside Llewyn Davis was True Grit, and I love True Grit.
I love True Grit.
No Country for Old Men.
Which was really good.
I don't need to watch that more than once to know that I loved it.
Then you got the Lady Killers.
Yeah, then you have Lady Killers, which I don't think I could get through. It's like
I've never made it through.
God.
And then you got
Brother
Intolerably...
Out There,
well,
Big
no,
One.
it's funny is it's Lady Killers, then Intolerably Cruel, which they didn't write, but they directed, and nobody I know said that's good. But then like The Man Who Wasn't There, that's enjoyable.
Which I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Man Who Wasn't There.
It's enjoyable. It's a good film. It's bizarre. It's one of those like there's a lot of like weirdness where you're like, what's going on? It's a film that involves everything from like murder to Roadhead to you space aliens. Literally, all three of those things are in that film.
How bizarre!
And you're like, what? Huh? What? But I enjoyed it. Oh, Brother, We're Out There was genius. That's a film that's
I
all
really
like
Oh Brother, We're Out There. Before that, it was a Big Lebowski.
Which,
that.
funny thing is, I did not like The Big Lebowski when I first watched it.
That's funny.
But now it's like, if it's on TV, I'm like, oh, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
I'll
watch that.
I'll watch it again. You know, it just ended. It's being shown 3 times in a row. Well, I'm
watch
going
it
to
again.
Yeah. Fargo was
I was
going
to say Fargo. That's a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but I probably should go back and revisit that.
Now that I think about it.
I like Fargo.
I liked Fargo when I saw
really,
it, but I
really
probably
like
haven't seen it since the 90s. Let's put it this way. Last time I watched it, I think I borrowed your copy of the VHS tape.
Wow. You know what's funny is I don't remember Peter Strohmeyer being in it.
Which one, Fargo?
Yeah.
Which one, Peter Strohmeyer?
As I like to say, he plays the devil. He's the devil in Constantine.
Oh.
As in the movie Constantine.
You don't remember that guy?
No, I don't. I remember Steve Buscemi. I remember William H. Macy.
Remember Steve Buscemi dies in that film?
Yes.
You remember who kills him?
See, that's what I don't remember. Like, yeah, I couldn't tell you who was doing, like, because Steve Buscemi's the one, that's the famous Inside the Wood Chipper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who was doing it.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
At least don't remember, there's stuff that you just don't remember.
Then you're getting into, like, the Hudsucker, Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing, Raising Arizona.
God, I forget they did Raising Arizona.
Has a heart
Which is,
on the outside. Like...
I watched Raising Arizona, I can't remember when, it was a couple years ago, and for whatever reason I didn't like it as much as the first time I watched it.
I could see that, but...
of course, the scene where High's picking up the diapers is still...
While robbing the...
Well, yeah, we're robbing the...
That is, yeah.
It's just genius.
That's pretty genius. Going back to... what is it? Going back to Burn After Reading, Brad Pitt plays a really interesting, like that film didn't do well for me, but it's one of those things where it's like you forget how good, like Brad Pitt's too good looking to be a character actor.
I've heard someone else talk about that.
But he's a great character actor.
He's too good looking to be the character actor that he really is. Because
everyone, the issue is like, well, name Brad Pitt characters that are memorable, and so like people reference True Romance, where he played a dude who was a stoner
dude.
Yeah, so like,
isn't that funny?
It's one of those, if you name Brad Pitt films, people tend to remember the character parts.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, and then maybe you might work all your way down to like, oh, River Runs Through It. The ones
I liked.
I'm not saying that like they're not good films.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like people tend to forget the
characters. Yeah, but when you say what's your favorite
like
Brad Pitt films, you think of Inglourious Bastards, you think of Fight Club, you think of Snatch, you think and all those. It's like, okay, he's basically just a character actor.
He's a character actor
playing some bizarre, off the wall thing.
Yeah.
All
right.
So yeah.
Well, I think we might skip a week or two, and then we're gonna go Oscars. But don't quote us on anything.
Yeah, we might do something else. There's always, we're probably gonna try to do a Oscars / 2016 year in review. It'd be, I think that's what we're gonna do, is do it at the same time. Because okay, well, we're gonna do 2016 year in review, and then a week later do the Oscars. Okay, we're just going to talk about movies that we just got done talking about. Well,
also it's going to be tough because odds are there's going to be Oscar films nominated that we're like, okay, we're going to have to watch this.
Yeah. I mean, we already know that there's a number of movies that...
And I almost guarantee you there's going to be probably 1 or 2 films where that's didn't get nominated, We're gonna look at the list like we got 5 films to watch out of 9.
Yeah.
But why didn't XYZ get nominated? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, because last year there was 8?
There's 8, and there was, I think, 2 films that we went...
Yeah, how is this, like, at least not nominated?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily win, but how is it not nominated? That was our big issue.
Well, our last year's issue was we both didn't like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And there's 1 or 2 films that we enjoyed better than Brooklyn.
Yeah, better
that were
than
like...
Brooklyn. Like, how is this not...
How is that nominated? You had 2 spots.
Yeah, and you had 2 extra spots, and you had Brooklyn. So, this ought to be an interesting year. So, we'll see.
I feel like we're going to rush. We're going to be end up like... We're watching 8 films this weekend.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know we haven't watched Moonlight or Manchester by the Sea, and I think those are almost...
Jackie.
Or Jackie. And those are... It seems like those are all pretty much just automatics.
At least Moonlight and Manchester by the Sea, I can see.
Yeah, those seem to be just automatic nominations, and we didn't see a whole bunch of films that would be nominated. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say like Arrival would be something that probably.
If Arrival doesn't,
yeah, that's gonna be frustrating.
That's just gonna be like one of those
because we saw a bunch of things like Independence Day Resurgence, and that's
if we just base it on like Golden Globes, which were this past weekend.
Yeah, we just I guess we didn't really talk about the Golden Globes, mainly because I know I didn't really watch it because I for whatever reason I've never been that. I just don't really care that much about the Golden Globes.
I watched it just because it's on. Football was over. There is no film that I really wanted to watch at that moment in time. Like,
yeah, we missed it because we were too busy watching Westworld. Which, if we ever do TV talk, we could talk about Westworld.
We might.
But,
okay, but just going with nominations for Golden Globes, it's like for drama category: Hacksaw Ridge,
haven't seen it.
Hell or High Water, we
haven't seen it.
Manchester by the Sea, haven't seen it. Moonlight, haven't seen it. Lion, didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you what it is. I just know that it exists.
But what's funny is
what's on the other side?
Motion picture musicals and comedies.
Actually, we've probably seen these because we've seen La La Land, which should be nominated.
Yeah, if it's not insane. But what's funny is it's like 20th Century Women, which I remember seeing something about that, but I don't think I've seen that anywhere released. So that's not necessarily we didn't want to see that. It's just I don't remember seeing that being listed.
Yeah.
Deadpool, which is funny.
Yeah, that's not going to be nominated.
Florence Foster Jenkins.
Florence Foster Jenkins.
If it was playing nearby, I'm probably taking my mom.
Yeah.
Because I think I lost that rock, scissors, paper when I was 12.
No kidding. Well, if it's nominated, then we can all go together.
Yeah, and then Sing Street is nominated, which is on Netflix, so we can't watch that. That was something I was interested in when I first saw the trailer, but it never actually... Sing Street. It's a British feel-good film set in the 80s.
Whatever.
It's one of those, like... Tina will enjoy it.
Whatever.
There's
if it's nominated, I'll see it. If it's not, I'm not going to go see it.
There's probably a reference to Duran Duran, so...
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So...
Of those... and nowhere in all that was Arrival, so I'm going to be kind of upset.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Arrival is not
in there. I don't know, did Hidden Figures, the Hidden Figures or Fences make it within the needed...
Did they make it within the Golden Globes category? That could be an issue, but within like the
Oscars I think, because I know Fences was.
I believe Fences is
definitely made it. So that's one that's in.
That'll be interesting. We'll have to see.
We'll see what happens. It's 24th, I believe. So to win
24th, which sucks because I think it's only like two or 3 weeks before between. Like it's literally like.
Oh, this is gonna be difficult.
Oscar nominations like on a Tuesday. I think maybe that weekend is when like. AMC is going to be doing their... so it's like Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Let's start watching.
Yeah, because we still have the shorts and the...
Yes, shorts, and if we can't do documentaries. Pretty much anything that we can actually
animated, all those things. Yeah.
Which, animated Zootopia... I could see that get nominated for.
Oh, that might. I never thought of that. You know, there's an outside chance, I guess.
Well,
they'll get nominated for Best Animated, but they
Yeah.
might have an outside chance at Best Picture.
All right. Well,
So,
I think we've rambled enough.
yeah.
Next time, most likely, is if we don't do a movie before that, Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
So
I guess until then, Scarface is overrated.
and keep your ticket stub.
Here is something you can't understand. How they can just review it, man. Here is something you can't understand. How they can just review it, man. Here is something you can't understand. In Germany, they call it a Kinofilm. In California, they call it una película. No matter where you live, you love movies. So you want to listen to the Bob and Ed Movie Podcast.